The story begins in the Katagiri school with our protagonist, Miyamura, whom all his class considers the silent, terrifying otaku of the lounge. Before it, we have to focus on Horimiya, the popular girl in Miyamura's room which always rejects any plan her friends propose to do after classes, as she must return home early to take care of the things. This is because her parents spend most of their time working apart. Hori also takes care of her brother, Suda. These factors force him not to be able to arrange plans with his friends, but the girl doesn't bother either. One day, like any other, his brother went out to play, and when he returned he was all mad because he fell. However, a boy, who for Horimiya's standards is not bad at all, comforted him and took him home. After she thanked her, the guy was about to leave, but Suda stopped him. Hori took the moment to invite her to stay for a while, and in this way the guy went from going to stay in the room. While they talked about Suda fall, the boy mentions Hori, who surprised him to find out he does his homework. She thought they were going to the same school, and that's why she knows her, but the reality is that this guy is Miyamura. Horimiya can't believe it, and when he sees it again at school, much less he could do it. But well, since his brother wants to see it, he asks him to come back to visit them. Our protagonist has no problem with that, but he mentions the girl, who is surprised by the fact that he has spoken to him at school as if nothing. What he expected after seeing him the day before is that he would avoid talking to him and above all being close to him. Horimiya asks her why she should do that. Anyway, just as he hides the way he dresses out of school, she tries to hide the fact that she is almost a housewife. These words delight Miyamura, as it is not usual for someone to treat her as an equal. The beginning of so that gradually the girl was getting to know her partner better. For example, now she knows that he is not an otaku in its entirety, that her family has a bakery, and that the piercings he has not made them professionally. She also discovers that he is bad in classes, unlike her who takes only 10. One day, Hori discovered that there were some egg offers in the supermarket. The bad thing is that this was going to last day, and it was done until during his career the guy comes. He doesn't want anyone else to see him with his true appearance. The protagonist also feels the same for her. The right to see it as light in the home is something that he only wants to belong to him. After leaving him a punch because what he said is too committing, the days go by, and because they will have swimming, Horimiya discovers that our protagonist has tattoos, and these do not suit him at all, as he will have problems if they discover it. The good thing is that swimming was optional, because he is very much related to Horimiya in school. One day of those, Toru, one of the girl's friends, approaches to talk to Miyamura. The only thing he wanted to know was if they were going out. The protagonist answers that obviously not, but apart discovers that Toru is in love with Horimiya, something that was supposed to be secret of the guy. Because of this little interaction, the guys start to talk more and wear better, to such a point that Miyamura showed him their tattoos. However, one day of those, Toru asked him permission to confess his feelings to Horimiya. This does not understand why he did it no longer as it belonged to him, but Toru told him that he felt the need to do so. The guy asks Horimiya to go out with him after classes, and so that he can attend, Miyamura tells the girl that he will go for his brother to school. While spending time with Suda, he realizes that if his friends start out, he will probably be a disturbance, to which Hori will ask him to stop going to his home. To Miyamura's fortune, when the girl returned, she began to complain to him because, talking to Toru, she learned that our protagonist told her in the past that she could not be a partner with her as they are not compatible. Miyamura had to explain to him that he refers to not wanting to damage his reputation, but the girl in tears replies that it's her problem, not yours. Horimiya makes it clear that he already belongs to her life, so it doesn't matter what they can say about her because they're friends. When she calms down, the girl tells him that she rejected Toru. One day he was back from shopping. Horimiya discovers that his mother came early from work. She did not know of Miyamura's existence, so when Suda told her who she was, she asked her daughter for details. Thanks to that, Hori discovers that he doesn't know what his friend's name is, so he decided to find out how he's called. However, this was more complicated than I thought because first, the peer list can only be seen by professors, and apart Miyamura is not smart, so he doesn't appear on the list of the best students. Don't could he ask Toru because he was still hurt, so since the protagonist would go to his house the next day and his mother would be there, she deposited all his hopes that when he came with his mother he would tell him his full name. What she didn't expect was that his mother would send her to make calls to be able to talk to Miyamura alone. So she couldn't find out what the name of his friend is. Horimiya was not interested in whether that protagonist felt offended, so she asked her name directly. The girl discovers that her name is Izumi, but since she says that she feels weird, she will continue calling Miyamura, that is. All her effort to discover her name was for nothing. Because of how good and ready she is at work, Horimiya began constantly helping the student council without being part of it. However, the work began to be so much that she stopped sleeping. Yuki made known that she didn't look at anything well, but Horimiya still continued to help the council. Taurus and Miyamura also noted it, but even if they wanted to, they couldn't help her because they were very stupid. On one occasion, Ayazaki, one of the council members and Sengoku's boyfriend, the council president, received some archives from Hori which ended up falling down when he stumbled upon Miyamura. Between the two they started picking them up, but because of the girl's rush, the protagonist got one, as according to this one he won't need it so he can throw it to the rubbish. When he arrived at school the next day, she discovered that Sengoku was complaining Horimiya for the lost file. The worst thing is that Ayazaki only remained silent watching. Seeing that, Miyamura resorted to the simplest solution, one hit. Apart from this, he handed over the lost file and clarified what actually happened. Sengoku is a just person, so he began to regain his girlfriend. After this, we discovered that the reason Horimiya helps the president is so that this does not reveal that in the past she was an abuser. Horimiya's birthday is approaching, so Miyamura begins to think about what she will give him. While he debated that, Horimiya begins to question what his relationship with our protagonist will be after they graduate. We see how in the past, Miyamura suffered rejection from his peers for appearing strange, a situation that repeated itself from primary to secondary. No one wanted to relate to him for as strange as he was because of the excessive loneliness. He was exposed a bad idea to get a piercing. Time passed, and it wasn't until the bachelor began that another person treated him as an equal. That was Hori. The third school year begins, and for our fortune the protagonist will be in the same class as his friends, but the guy begins to question whether he really belongs to that group or is just an intruder. In one of those that was alone with Toru, he took advantage of to ask him what he thought of him as his friend. After this claim to him for making him say things that sometimes sound stupid cursories, he answers that he is a strange friend, but is well for him. Words that Miyamura would have wished could have said to himself 10 years ago. Then Horimiya hits them both because they doing a job and were delayed. Because Suda started primary and should come earlier, Horimiya now also comes to school earlier. One day, while waiting for the rest to arrive, Ayazaki appears and begins to talk about Miyamura. When he learns that Horimiya is not his girlfriend, she tells him that he will conquer him. However, she answers that he can't because even if he is not his girlfriend, this protagonist belongs to him. Saying that, added to the fact that he now spends more time alone with Miyamura since Suda goes out to play, causes the inevitable. Horimiya falls in love with the protagonist. Have to know that conquering Miyamura was just one that went out of control. However, Toru heard the guy telling Sakura, another board member, so she concluded Horimiya is in love with her friend. But when he told him, he refused to accept it. Toru continued to insist, and because he approached Miyamura a lot, he was scared and struck him. Toru returned the blow, and what happened after this was that our outbreak gave him the punch of his life. One day after the classes are over, Toru helps Sakura collect some of the papers he lost. While they were on the board, the guy discovers that the girl does a lot of work, even much more than Sengoku and Ayazaki do. But she is the least outstanding of the three. Admired, Toru tells her that it's surprising that she works so hard when nobody watches her. Because of their encounter with Sakura, he delayed in reaching Miyamura, and who is waiting for him to return home together. Horimiya saw him moments before, and as she knows he can't take off his jacket as they'll see his tattoos, he gave him the side so that he'd die from the heat. There was also Toru, but since the taste was peppermint and the guy can't eat it, they take advantage that Sengoku was going through there to give it. While they were talking, the president gives them permission so they can go to the council and refresh themselves with the air conditioner. The group spent the rest of the days visiting the council. In one of the days sends Horimiya and Miyamura to buy drinks. While they are not, the rest take advantage of Toru over them and how well they are carried. Apart from that, because they took a long time to return, Toru almost gets something to imagine what they might be doing. To end his luck to Miyamura fell his soda. While studying, Horimiya realizes that the protagonist doesn't bother to undress to show her tattoos, so the girl began to wonder if it really doesn't shame her. The doubt was such that he asked Miyamura to dress off and Guy did it as if nothing. When he learns that they were testing him, the protagonist tells him that he is not ashamed to take off his shirt, but if there are other things that embarrass her. Earlier that day he met Shindu, a high school friend who learned they were friends, so she asked if it was her girlfriend. Prota tells Horimiya that he did not think about it and replied that yes, but then he felt ashamed. The protagonist told the girl to reveal the truth to Shindu, but she did not want to and let her know. That was exactly where his phone sounded. Shindu had sent him a message, and thanks to that, Horimiya discovered that Miyamura has an unusual way of treating his friend. Not many days later, Toru and Horimiya met Shindu in person. Despite the awfulness that treats our protagonist, the guy considers him a good friend. His relationship did not start in the best way since in high school to Miyamura was the silence of the salon that does not relate to anyone. But gradually Shindu was entering his life, that despite the rest he told him that he should leave Miyamura alone. Days pass and Horimiya ends cold. She can't believe it since they are in summer, but the thermometer doesn't lie so he should stay at home. Thanks to Suda. The prota he learned, so he skipped the school in the morning to take care of his friend. While the girl rested, Miyamura in the driest way possible tells him he's in love with her, only to go to school then if nothing. He knew very well that Horimiya wasn't asleep. She, forgetting that she had a cold immediately, begins to think about what she will do. The next day Horimiya pretended to remain sick to not go to school as she still doesn't know how to deal with Miyamura's confession. Later that day, and when Suda returned from class, he saw our protagonist walking with a girl who was stuck to his arm. When she told her sister, she immediately thought he was cheating, but that she wanted to clear her doubts. She was not even able to send a message to our friend. When she returned to classes, the guy tried to go unnoticed for Miyamura. At first he managed to, but Toru realized what he was doing, so he told his friend, which didn't cost him anything, to catch the girl with the low guard. Horimiya tried to avoid it, but Miyamura stopped her by asking if she heard her confession. She didn't answer and asked him who the girl she was walking with the day before. Horimiya discovers that it was Shindo's girlfriend. But since Miyamura mentioned his name a lot, she gets jealous, annoyed, and then strikes, only to then escape. When he arrived at his home, Hori realizes that obviously what he did was wrong, but he didn't have time to blame himself as nothing. Miyamura, who wanted, appeared to return the books he dropped as he might need them to do the task. At first the atmosphere is uncomfortable, but Horimiya accepts his guilt and asks forgiveness for hitting him, so resumes the conversation about confession. The girl confirms that she heard everything, but before she can get a response, Hori's father, Kyusuk, appears. It doesn't matter that her daughter treats him like it was rubbish. After bothering the protagonist a little, Kyusuk asks his daughter if they are boyfriends. This answers that yes, and in this way came the answer to Miyamura's confession, when they could Horimiya that although he doesn't know much about her, he slowly wants to get to know her more. Toru was the first to learn the news since Miyamura told him. Fortunately it was by call so he could cry without anyone seeing him. The following days she looked sad and Sakura noticed it. The girl began to act disconcerted so that Ayasaki asked him what was going on. At first he did not want to tell him since his friend is beautiful and would not understand it. Since in his case he is considered a horrible person with a horrible attitude. But when he realized that Ayasaki considers her a beautiful person, Sakura confesses that she is in love with someone, and who other than Toru asked Miyamura not to feel badly for him. In this way, and without resentment, begins the boyfriend life of these two, which began well during the first days as Miyamura falls well to the parents of his girlfriend and Horimiya is not yet angry. But gradually the news of their relationship began to spread through the school. Horimiya's simps couldn't believe she was with a loser like Miyamura, and the girls mocked her for her bad taste. This angered Toru and Yuki, but in Hori's case it did not matter. However, our protagonist is a different case, so that they don't laugh at their girlfriend anymore. It looks like a day of those with their hair cut. This way it went from being the quiet of the salon to the most beautiful of this. However, now all the girls in the class have interest in it. Horimiya tries to defend the what is his. On the other hand, we know Shu, a guy who is the personified happiness and who was the one who was most surprised to see the change of Miyamura. In the case of Shindu, apart from surprise, he began to suffer since he prefers much more to the Miyamura with long hair. Indeed, thanks to this he gave the first kiss, since he gave them sweets, so that our protagonist took advantage of giving one to his girlfriend with his mouth. Now that the problem of criticism is over, a new one emerges, which has a face and name, Sawada, a second-year-old girl who wants our protagonist to break with Hori. She told him directly. Apparently she wants the Prota to belong to her. Miyamura replied that he would never do it, but far from surrendering, the girl tells him that this war is just beginning. Upon leaving class, the couple met again with Sawada, who mounted a whole show to show Hori how much she is in love with her. But it makes it clear to Miyamura that he hates him. The following days consisted of these two fighting for Horimiya. The worst part is that they discovered they were neighbors. Since that day the girl forgot her key, Miyamura is piteous with her and invites her to go to her house. As they talked, our protagonist finds out that the girl had an older brother. Although she regretted having mentioned it, she tries to make Miyamura believe she's joking. Later, and thanks to his mother, the guy learns that Sawada's brother died last year. From that moment on, the relationship of rivalry between these two became almost the one between brothers. Miyamura took care of protecting the girl and she agreed to be protected. Because of Hori's romance, our protagonist, Toru, has spent all his time with Yuki. One day, while they were walking chill, the guy came across Sakura and, as he was carrying garbage, stained his shirt. While Toru was looking for something that could put on, Sakura asks Yuki if he is dating him. She replied that no, but when she saw the girl's happy face, her face turned into a face of sadness. Toru returns right in that and lends her jacket so she can cover herself. Obviously, Sakura didn't miss the opportunity. The guy got so happy that he dared to ask them in Sengoku what attracts him from his girlfriend. When she returned her jacket, the girl gave Toru a few cookies in the form of thanks. On the other hand, we see that Yuki has the strange mania of not being able to express what he wants when he wants something, and that's why he almost always ends up losing something he wants. She once left a girl with a magazine that was the last one in the store, and that she was the one who grabbed her first. Horimiya is aware of her friend's condition, and since she has recently been discouraged, she knows there's something she wants to have. Yuki has started to be jealous of Sakura, so in one of those, he asks Miyamura to teach him how to make pastries. He soon accepted and then discovered that the girl is not getting the kitchen well. Though his first cake was bad, Toru tried it, ate it whole, and told the girl he hoped to try more in the future. On the other hand, we see the dependence and need that Horimiya has created around her boyfriend, since when he went to visit a family member for 5 days, the girl was affected to such a point that she could not avoid crying when she saw him again. Days pass, and at a meeting of girls, these tell Hori that watching movies without her being scared ruins the charm of a home date. With that in mind, the next time they met at their home, Horimiya tried to pretend scary while they watched a horror film, but only managed to scare his boyfriend. The sheet gets sad, but when it calms down, Miyamura tells her there is no need to pretend something she doesn't feel. He fell in love with his person without leaving any of his qualities out. Because of those words, they were alone and apart was dark as it was raining. The couples go to so much love. Not only that, but the head was bitten to his neck. Because of the drastic change his life has suffered, During a dream our protagonist saw how he told him his self of the past, the situation he was living would change for good. How can you experience what it is to have friends and be loved by them? And how can you experience love? One day, while Hori tasted some enamels on his feet, Miyamura got the desire to put his foot on his girlfriend. The guy didn't stand the temptation and did, but instead of getting bearded by Horimiya, this guy seems to be starting to develop more behaviors. Since imagining Miyamura treating her ugly, it seems sexy to her. One day, Hori asked his boyfriend to behave that way at school. But although he tried and in the end scared his friends, he could not and made him know. But to fulfill a little of girlfriend, he took advantage that they were alone in a salon to treat her badly, and his face says it all. That same day a boy confessed his love to Yuki, who instead of rejecting him directly, kept him waiting for 4 days. When she told her friends, she also told them she couldn't reject him as she would feel bad about him. Then Miyamura proposes that a fake boyfriend be believed. In this way the boy will know that he was not rejected. The man in charge of playing the boyfriend was Toru, who had no problems helping his friend, but his self-esteem was torn when he saw Akane, the guy Yuki wanted to reject. It's beautiful. This took over the rejection and even told Toru that he was more beautiful than he. Not only that, but that he also became part of the group of friends. Despite the criticisms of their relationship having stopped, the girl's problem still continues, and from time to time one or several approach Miyamura to coquette him. Something that always angers Horimiya, since before they didn't even peel him and now everyone wants him and doesn't mind coquetting with him even though she's in front of him. One day, as they returned home, our protagonist encounters Tanahara, the boy who worst treated him in high school. This hasn't changed his approach to our protagonist, but when he was mocking him and his girlfriend, the guys discovered that this is a caterpillar girl and solves her problems with punches. Shindu is a friend of Tanahara, so when he later met with him to eat, he could see how his face was. When he learns what happened, Shindu notices that even though Tanahara has told him over the years that he doesn't care about Miyamura, he can't get it out of his head. On the other hand, he begins to have to deal with Horimiya's SM, as this one happened to him that day to ask him to bofetti her. Miyamura did not want to, but eventually gave up. This was seen by Tanahara and her friend, who begin to fear her to our outbreak already. If they could not with Hori, then means that she is stronger than she. On the way home, Miyamura begins to think if her girlfriend is okay in the head, but when she sees her angelical face he doesn't care and tells her that. Days pass, our prota continues to behave as Horimiya wants. Apart, he has to deal with a guy who is in love with his girlfriend and does not consider him worthy to be with her, and apart, Tanahara begins to dream with Miyamura. Thanks to this we discovered that Tanahara's disgusting treatment of our protagonist began in high school when this inculped him for the death of the school rabbits he forgot to feed during the summer holidays. However, Tanahara is repentant of what he did, so he decides to accept his guilt and starts trying to get closer to Miyamura. As a first step, you get your number and go to your bakery to order something. To her luck, becoming a friend of our protagonist was not difficult because this one does not resent her. However, the guys are not used to dealing with each other, so one day they stumbled on the street began to behave weird. Horimiya makes it clear to Tanahara that he won't steal his boyfriend. The fact that he mentioned that with the only one he behaved strange, Miyamura Shindu, put the life of this one who just passed by in danger. After Tanahara saves him, Hori makes him promise to our protagonist that if he cheats him with someone, he will at least be with a girl so he doesn't feel bad. On an occasion that was shopping with her sister, Yuki meets Akane, all right until her sister discovers that she rejected the guy and began to complain to him for his poor decisions. On the other hand, Yuki and Toru's false dating has yet to end, so the news that they were a couple began to spread, and because of this Sakura learned, however decided to ask directly to Yuki if they were coming out, which did not, and lied to him. Because of the guilt she felt, the girl told Ayasaki, who told her she would not tell her friend anything if she confessed at the same time that she was in love with Toru. The girl could not do it, but she is not letting Toru be free for someone else to have it. After his conversation with Ayasaki, Yuki missed a few days. In class, This didn't surprise her sister as it's not the first time she shows this behavior, so she tells her that whatever she wants to have, she must decide quickly whether she'll go for it or not, if she doesn't want to lose it. This speech was motivated by this guy to the discovery, which after having it turned off to avoid his friends, turned his phone, only to read that one of the many messages he had was from Toru, who told him that Sakura had confessed. Toru rejected Sakura because he doesn't believe he is able to get out with her because it is too good for him. And Yuki and Toru's relationship is that in the future they may be dating. On the other side, Sengoku helps Sakura her worst pain. The girl does not keep rinser for anyone, but not for that reason he doesn't cry about this. While they were talking, Toru tells his friends that Shu has a younger sister and that outside of school, he is a very calm person, somewhat different from how he behaves at school where he is very outgoing. After that, the guys had some not very relevant conversations and a discussion about height between Miyamura and Akane. We learn that Sawada does not feel very comfortable around boys, especially Shu, whom she finds very annoying. The bad thing is that he appeared and Sawada told him this to his face. She thought she had offended him because afterward, she helped him carry some boxes to the lab, but he didn't talk to her at all. The reality is that the young man was sick and avoided talking to prevent anyone from getting infected. Sakura saw as the next day the guy was spying on Shu, who had already been cured, and when Sawada told him what she believes happened, she can't believe him because they are talking, and since this guy has never been angry with anyone, Sakura considers the possibility that what he said is true, so he asks him if he wants to apologize with him because he wants to please him. Just in that Shu appears, and since she took them by surprise, Sawada treated him as she always treated him. On the other hand, Motoko, Shu's younger sister, has a problem, is about to graduate from high school and wants to apply to a high school. However, her ratings are not good, but because she doesn't study. The guy struggles, but as much as he tries, he doesn't understand anything. That added to the fact that his teacher mocked when he discovered what school he wanted to apply to, obviously saddened Motoko. When he learns of this and after comforting his sister's sadness, the next day Shu asks Horimiya to give him tutoring to Makoto. She realized that her friend is a good older brother, and as a good cause she accepted. During her first tutoring, the only thing they did was talk as Horimiya wanted the girl to feel comfortable. We see how Toru and Yuki's friendship has advanced to the point that they now meet in the guy's house. Thanks to this, the girl discovered that her friend is rich. This, on the other hand, while talking to President and Shu, confesses to them that he is in love with Yuki, but does not bother him anything the relationship they currently have. Days pass and Yuki visits the house of Toru to finish a game that they started. This at first did not want him to visit, and the reason has named Shiro, the maid to that house of Toru. The reason why he didn't want you to see Yuki is that he always gets her asking questions about the girl, so now that he knows her, they'll increase more. After he is threatening Bull that he will not do anything strange because he tells his mother, the boys finally start playing. Days pass and we see that Sengoku and Ayazaki's relationship has a small big problem. The guy doesn't dare to visit her because in his home they collect insects and he has phobia, but well, more important than that. Time has passed and Horimiya realized that very soon he will graduate from the preparatory. This has never thought about what he will do in the future, so they don't know what point of his life will be in a year. Christmas is coming. People start to prepare to celebrate it. Sakura tried to convince Sengoku to visit his girlfriend's house that day, and Hori informed his family that Miyamura will be busy at the bakery, so he will not be able to accompany them. However, since they had ordered a cake in his store days ago, the guy came to hand them over, so they forced him to stay for an hour. When he accompanied him back to the store, Hori reminds his boyfriend that they will soon graduate, so he tells him he wants to stay next to him when that happens. Miyamura has no problem with that, as he wants them to get married. By expressing her wish, the girl promises that she will make him very happy when that happens. And now, they're committed. Time went on and graduation was closer than ever. With this, the problems for the boys began, as they had to remove their belongings from their boxes. On the other hand, Akane Council armed a plan to go on vacation after graduation. On the other hand, while appreciating his girlfriend, Miyamara begins to think that if he had never helped Suda, his life would have been totally different. He would never have stopped being the excluded guy of the class, would never have started to be happy. Or at least that he thought at the beginning. Since after remembering all that he lived with his friends, he realizes that one way or another, the universe would have moved the threads so that his life is identical to what he has now. The day of graduation arrives, and in this, Horimiya tried to put an end to his father because he didn't want her to attend, and Mishimura with schizophrenic moment, and as he seemed to ignore his past, he promised that he'd do it again. With this ends the anime, with Motoko who managed to enter the school he wanted, with the indecises leaving in good terms their relationship with the people who rejected, and with Mishimura and Horimiya who have closed a chapter. And that's the end of the summary of this wonderful anime. I hope you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button, as it helps and motivates me to keep creating more content for you. See you soon. And that's the end of the summary of this wonderful anime. I hope you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button, as it helps and motivates me to keep creating more content for you. See you soon.